The Big Red Couch, a podcast about making role-playing games. A group of GMs and players draw ideas from the mystery box and bring their game pitches to you, in which our heroes draw a card.
And we're back. Right, this is the drawing for the next game starter for the Big Red Couch. We have a box full of really silly suggestions.
The mystery box.
Indeed.
Mystery box!
And the will to choose something randomly from it, so we may attempt to come up with interesting ideas over a period of time which will be represented by some sort of sound effect.
Indeed. We hope you, our listener, enjoy it.
So, who did the drawing last time?
I think it was me.
It was good.
Okay. That makes it somebody else's turn.
Should I? Or...
I haven't done it yet, so...
Okay, good.
Okay.
Over to Ben.
I shall hold it somewhere so Ben can do a mixy thing.
Great sound effect. Alright, I have one here. Okay, who put in star.star?
I don't know.
What the fuck?
Asterisk.asterisk.
Okay, well, this is going to be an odd one.
I blame Craig for this.
That's not my handwriting.
Yes, it is.
How is it my handwriting? My handwriting is much easier than that.
How can you tell?
Yeah, it's not mine.
Star. Okay.
Okay. Once more with feeling. Let's pretend that wasn't in there,
I
because...
don't know. We could possibly do it next week. Let's see what we come up with.
Yeah, no, this is a
This
book.
is stretching the concept.
Okay.
Just for clarity's sake, I'm holding the back of a engineering company business card with your traditional 8-stroke asterisk and a dot followed by another asterisk. This is... You Unix people will know what I'm talking about.
Okay. Well, okay, so we could treat this as a just come and pitch something, or we can go with Ben's suggestion of let's pretend this didn't happen and draw another one.
That's not my suggestion. I am all for attempting to take this fairly cryptic piece of information and turn it to a game seed. I'm already thinking about... I don't know...
I'm thinking cheesy Tron rip-off, but that
nice,
might just
yeah.
be me. Okay, so star.
Start.
Okay, we choose to accept this mission.
I
And the card will now be folded into 3 so that we can tell it from the others.
am terribly bemused.
Alright, so... Star. Let's see how we do.
See you next week, folks.
Catch you later.
Some days later...
Hello, everybody. Welcome to the Big Red Couch. Here present with us today are...
Ben.
Craig.
Kev.
Antonia. The drawing that we did
2 weeks?
2 weeks ago now was...
Don't give them clues. Sorry.
Really, don't give them clues. They just listen to it.
Oh, right. I thought this was going to be found on like a USB stick on a geocache in Antarctica somewhere.
If only.
Abandoned on a train.
In Antarctica.
That would
No
be-
one will ever figure out how we did that.
Yeah, our viewer is closer in time to us being trapped by whatever fiend wrote star on one of those cards than we are.
There is a fighting chance it was my handwriting, but I don't think that means it was my idea.
It could have been anybody's. Mm-hmm. Anyway, the card had an asterisk, a dot, and an asterisk. And we reacted with panic and screaming, and now you get to hear what game ideas we came up with from that.
The challenge.
Which was reluctantly accepted.
I thought it
It's a
was
good idea to have stuff that's going to really stretch us, because indeed to have spectacular failures from time to time.
And, dear reader, or listener, this may be that spectacular failure that you've been waiting for all this time.
No, I have to admit that when I saw it, I understood it as the card that meant you must take all of the other ideas in the basket and use them all at once.
Ooh.
Why didn't you say that at the time? Ren.
That would have been awesome! Mexico is missing an island that has Alcatraz on it.
And everything else that we were looking at as well.
Yeah.
But I did mention it at the time.
Did you?
I don't recall because that would have stuck. No, that would have possibly
I would have
annihilated.
got that reaction.
Yeah, that would have annihilated any other ideas I have. So that's Kev's idea. We do everything.
No, I got that one as well.
We collapse the multiverse into one game and play all of them now.
Yeah. Also, 3 people saying "ooh" simultaneously looks really weird on the levelometer thing here.
I also think that it's possible that Ren should.
Rend did kind of show up. So, anybody want to go first?
I thought Kev just did.
Ah,
That's true.
I could go second as well because I had another terrible idea. Recently I read Mission of Gravity and other books from Hal Clement featuring the Mesclanites, who are awesome high-gravity centipedes, and so that kind of science adventure put me in mind of what if Star was quite literal, and you've got a planet in the Lagrange point between binary star system, and
It
what
would be
that would
baked
look.
dry.
Yeah. Baked dry, massive tidal forces, shit is fucked, hard to get to, hard to get out of.
It would also be a magnetic forces disco.
Yeah. So
Awesome.
that is my whole concept. I don't know if you're trying to get out of there or, the specific concept from Mission of Gravity was that you have this really high G world and something vital has crashed on it that humans can't reach because it would turn them to pudding and then crush the pudding. So, if something important has gotten there. Unfortunately, this is cross-pollinated with the fact that we picked up the ghastly abomination that is the novelization of Escape from New York. So, now I've got are you a bad enough dude to rescue the president from the planet between two binary stars? Which I think may be going too far. But, just some kind of really inhospitable environment, you have to, it could be a prison. It could be anything. It could be...
I think it'd be unlikely to be a prison on the grounds of that would mean that various governments wanted rid of these people so badly that they were willing to throw starship after starship down a gravity well that may not be escapable from. That's a lot of infrastructure to throw away.
One man's starship is another man's metal box, to be fair, but...
It just has to survive re-entry.
Yeah, okay, that's fair.
I was just thinking of it as the mother of all really shitty Bulldogs games. Here is your
Hey,
delivery.
Bulldogs, we want you to go pick this thing up from this place.
Yes,
We'll
a
just-
planet precariously balanced between two stars.
And you won't find that out until after you're halfway there.
Indeed.
The planet has to have a really bitterly ironic name, like something like Day Shift.
Noon.
Sunbeam.
Noon. I like Noon.
What time is it here?
Wow. Would it be face locked?
How would you tell?
Well, presumably, if the planet's rotating, then depending on rotation speed, what you're going to see is sun comes up. As sun goes down, other sun comes up. So it's going to be like that episode of Futurama with My Three Suns, where the sun goes down and then two other ones come up.
If it was face locked, then would you have a band of dimness?
You would have
around
a band.
the equator?
Potentially, you would have. Just trying to draw the lines in my head. I think what you would have is the sun close to, but not below the horizon when you are standing on when you are standing on a point that is on the plane that divides the two suns.
Mutual terminator.
Just realised I'm trying to describe three-dimensional geometry with my hands on a podcast, which is working about as well as you can expect.
Okay, so you're standing at the top of a hill with the North Star on one shoulder and the South Star on the other shoulder, and you can just see both of them. Can you see both?
I think you could probably depending on the local geography, you could possibly clearly see both of them. If it was like a perfect sphere, just to make the imagining easier. It's never going to be, but there's never going to be a place where the sun is below the horizon.
For laughs, they could be on the pole. They would each be on the pole.
Oh, so it's rotating. So the spin axis runs between the two stars. He
Yeah.
says, drawing more lines in the air. Sorry, internet. Wow, that's
Since
That's kind of what I was picturing, actually.
That's-
So you've got this ridge of dimness.
yeah,
just messed up.
the equator is the one place where you don't constantly get a suntan.
Yeah. Which would mean also the planet wouldn't be a perfect sphere because it would be slightly drawn towards the stars.
Yes, I don't know what the gravitational effects would. You could expect it to be tectonically interesting.
Oh, yeah.
That or so homogeneous at this point that it doesn't matter.
So it may actually be a perfect sphere simply because it's been squished so much.
It's now concrete. It's reacted entirely down to the nuclear level. There are no more interesting elements. It is laddered down to the point.
It's all iron.
It's just
a big ball of iron.
It's just a ball bearing.
That would make an absolute bastard of a prison. Yeah, the Mesclanite 15-inch armoured centipede of awesomeness living there would be...
Yeah.
That's
I mean, not living there, but certainly going there for a grand adventure because everybody forgets just how cool we are.
They are pretty cool. Yes. In any species that finds 3Gs to be really disconcerting.
Disconcertingly light.
Yeah, prefers things to be in around the sort of the 200 or 300 bracket.
Anywho, so that's those ideas, which were kind of cool.
That's pretty cool. And I tried to go astonishingly literal, but I didn't get to where you got to.
Once again, this is the where I got to 30 seconds after being introduced to the idea, and then totally failed to develop it any further over the intervening 2 weeks. So I'm glad that it worked.
No, that's fair. I looked up things about binary star systems and so forth. Astrophysics, I'm not smart enough. I then decided to do something entirely more complicated. The notion I had was setting a game in a world in approximate tech level of the 1930s, though with one interesting twist. There is a device or system for a lossy mass conversion to energy. Basically, they've constructed a machine. It's relatively easy to construct. You dump matter in one end, you get energy out of the other. The matter's gone, and most of the energy appears to have been fed back and stopping the thing from annihilating the surroundings. But
you do have some output.
You get
but nowhere near the output that you have.
No, you don't have nothing close to the binding energy of the matter you've put in.
Right.
So energy is almost free, provided you can find something no one is going to miss, or you miss something, or make something go missing that no one is going to miss. And
from here we go to a murder mystery because habeas corpus? No.
Bingo.
Right, okay.
And the notion would be that, yes, that these are a public good and we are building big facilities that you shouldn't be able to get into because things go missing. But
many of the public facilities are now run by the mob and a lot of annoying people are going missing.
It proliferated initially when it was a wonderful... It's kind of like the dark side of the golden age of science. It's like, science! Look! Perfect energy, clean, pollutionless...
This thing is so awesome, we're going to give it to everybody.
Yeah, it proliferated, and now people are trying to shut these things down, which is relatively difficult because they have to be self-contained, or you drop a peach pit in and it flash fries your surrounding neighbourhood. Try and find these things and deal with the fact that if someone controls one of these, they can make you disappear at a fundamental atomic level.
Interesting.
Cool.
It might just be a fragment of a game. Possibly, there's a lot more...
It's a good MacGuffin.
Yeah, it's totally a MacGuffin.
And that's basically what you need to start a game. And if you're starting with something relatively gonzo, you are PIs. I'm imagining something a bit Amazing Engine. Something like Tabloid.
It might be a little bit more consequence. Actually, a long time since I've seen Amazing Engine, but yeah, it should be a little bit gritty. But yeah, that would work. I hadn't specifically come up with a system. This is more of a setting thing.
I am finding it difficult to step away from the 30s suits and fedoras, and it's always bloody raining and interesting cars and
how do you make Chiaroscuro
gangland?
How do you make Chiaroscuro in a entirely imaginary art form?
Chiaroscuro?
It's the Italian word for a style where you have really stark edges between shadow and light that early noir movies were really known for.
Gotcha.
They were big on the Renaissance as well. So.
And the thing that's occurring to me with it is it would be interesting to say that, this tech's been around for a while. If you fast forward the timeline hundreds, thousands of years, what's going to happen to orbital mechanics if the planet is getting measurably lighter?
Indeed.
If it's just eroding away.
Oh, that's a point. All of a sudden, mining becomes a great deal easier if you don't have to lug the crap out.
Yeah.
And people are buying your slag for power.
But it's just gone.
And I mean slag in the mining sense, not in the rude sense.
Thank you, Britton.
Don't worry, listener, we'll include a link, it'll be fine. There's a comic and everything.
There is?
Yeah.
Can I have a link?
Viz Comics, 2 fat slags.
Right.
You went there. Wow. Fair enough.
I think we'd already decided that our rating is oh dear God no, so...
Because we use all of the swears.
We do use all of the... Well, we probably use a small subset of the swears, but we try. Big Red Couch, first bastion of swearing on the internet. That's not even true.
The swears. I assume you use the ideas in a way that upsets people.
That's much more effective.
Yes.
Sometimes in letters to the editor.
Wait, what?
I still remember some letter you'd written where you used the phrase fisting kittens.
Yeah.
In a pejorative sense, it should be pointed out.
Oh, good. That makes it all better.
That is true.
Cool.
That's kind of cool. I am still unable to get past Untouchables era.
As I went through it, it seemed to make more sense to put it into a booming technology kind of setting rather than somewhere where it's a bit more accepted.
Okay.
So
were you thinking more of a what happened to Jimmy Two Toes kind of game, or were you thinking a...
Pretty much. It's underpinning the general paranoia and threat of that sort of setting with the promise that there may be no evidence.
You could actually make it thematic with the whole 30s noir thing of if, and I may be completely wrong because I'm woefully ignorant about actual physics and things, if as a orbital body gets lighter, the orbit would extend, then you've got a situation where the nights are getting longer, and there's no way to put it back.
And it will always be raining because it's colder.
Yeah.
And the atmosphere wouldn't be able to hold as much fluid.
So you take...
Be able to hold more. I don't know.
Yeah, you take noir of this dark setting, and it's just getting darker, and you make it literal.
But there's lots of neon.
Yeah.
So much neon.
Just thinking, for certain industries where you've got a bunch of stuff that you need to dispose of, such as the aforementioned mining slag or whatever, if you're sufficiently far out of the way that there's just no point in transporting stuff in order to dispose of it, potentially these places are going to be lit up like Christmas trees. Because they've got to get rid of the material. This produces energy. They've got to get rid of the energy somehow. So it's going to be like the gas flares in on oil rigs and on
see from space.
On garbage dumps. Except it'll be presumably just enormous electrical arcs. Just anything to burn off the...
I think they're actually arcing it rather than just running it through lots and lots of lights.
The lights will burn out eventually.
Yeah.
So.
True.
I was thinking that this might explain how the place is still habitable. You were pointing out that, further away it was getting cold. You've got this thing of how has the world not frozen yet?
Heaters.
Well, the question is, how have we not cooked ourselves to death yet with the amount of energy we're putting into the environment?
Indeed.
Okay, global noiring was not where I was going with this, but I like it.
You can also use it to bootstrap a 30s space program.
Laser driven?
Yeah, if you've got sufficient quantities of electrical power, there are... Oh wow, if you've got sufficient quantities of electrical power, all of a sudden maglev becomes a great deal easier. And yeah, laser lift if you extend extend things beyond 30s. Yeah, basically you can do all sorts of crap.
Cool.
Also from a negative side, there's a bunch of industries which presumably never get phased out, because... if you have the ability to make your incredibly toxic biological, medical or industrial waste vanish, there is no earthly reason to ever stop doing what you're doing.
True. Maybe the obvious signs of pollution are a good thing, air quotes, because you can see things are obviously being polluted.
If you've got a big enough industrial facility and you're sort of arcing off the power, maybe you get the situation of everything around it is starting to die. Simply because the ground's being cooked. The air is being cooked.
So, you have a setting where it's slowly getting darker, it always rains, and everything smells of ozone.
Yep.
Ah, Blade Runner.
Pretty much, yeah.
There's also the possibility that any alien civilization encountering this is going to look at the level of entropic pollution and just say, oh, hell the fuck no, back in the box. And we could be the bad guy locusts of the setting. Theoretically, if we want to move away from the 30s noir thing, which is dangerously awesome and I don't want to. But, this is a concept where the whole...
Someone turns up and says, please stop destroying all the mass.
Well, I was just thinking of the municipal Darwinism thing, where in the books the eventual plan was that London would eat every other city and then eat the planet and then roam the stars, eating other things. This could be the end zone of that. We are taking Earth. We've built this gigantic laser propulsion system that is burning up the Earth. It's flying around, threatening to eat everything else.
Right.
And
So
other civilizations are going, oh, that's not right.
For the record, Kev just did the Invasion of the Body Snatchers final scene.
the Donald Sutherland.
Donald Sutherland.
Pointy scream thing, yeah.
Yes.
But I did it in a microphone because I'm a genius.
Yeah, we can probably find a link.
That was a lie.
The clip's out there. Yes, so turning human society into a giant ramjet, which doesn't do interstellar gas, but, minor planetary bodies instead. Yeah, that's a bit...
Yeah, that'd be cool.
That's extrapolating a lot, but that's still interesting.
Yeah. This is the stuff I enjoy, the extrapolation and the kicking
Actually, yeah, you can build... Oh, God, you can build... Is it Nerva? It's one of the...
What does Nerva stand for?
I forget, but it's one of the drive concepts. You're using power to vaporize a fuel rather than oxidizers and combustion.
Okay,
So it's sort of an atomic rocket type thing, except in this case you're feeding bits of your spacecraft into the thing in order to throw other bits of your spacecraft out the end at very high speed.
An ion drive or something similar. Oh, yeah.
It's the more higher thrust version.
That's always good.
Indeed. That's kind of cool.
It is. How did you get there from Star with the 30s thing in the body?
RM star.
Of course.
I don't know what that means, but I will take your word for it.
That's
Linux delete command?
That's Linux delete command.
Yeah.
Delete.
Specifically the delete every...
It was RM-R.
That's where you want to. That's where you want to go shithouse.
Delete everything recursively. Yeah. Nice. Oh, well, should I, or...
Well, I don't think mine's going to take much time, so I had a number of fragments of ideas throughout the week, none of which coalesce into anything. So, whatever you guys can do with them, yay! The one I had most recently was a concept for a world where you have people who have been deleted. So you have these shells of humanity that you can basically install the personality that you need to do the job at hand. So it's kind of I figured that you'd know these people because they'd have star tattooed on them somewhere prominent. I was kind of toying with the idea that maybe this is what happens when somebody has obviated their right to be a person anymore, or possibly something that people volunteer for because it's something that humanity needs and grand sacrifice, yada yada yada. I don't know.
Okay.
I was kind of working from the point of view of, I read an article once about studying personalities in octopus, and the scientists basically came to the conclusion that they didn't have them. They basically seemed to start their reaction to any given stimulus afresh every time. So you couldn't predict how a given octopus was going to react to this toy. They didn't, yeah.
So you could pull an octopus out of the tank regardless if it was one that you'd dealt with before, and it would have a novel reaction to anything. So,
Absolutely.
So everything they...
It wasn't that it was surprised, but that you couldn't say this is
George.
This is Octi. This is Octi's favorite shrimp, or shrimp toy.
Right.
They don't
It
have
might
that.
be on any given day, but
But not today.
So if they have a personality, it's astonishingly mutable.
yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. You picked up two things or two cultural references that I got. There was the Death of Personality episode from Babylon 5.
Yep.
Which was a fun one, in a sort of sick way.
Fantastic episode.
And I read something recently which I cannot draw on because my mind's completely... it's called The Quantum Thief.
That sounds familiar.
Peter Hamilton?
No. Some relatively new author. But the inhabitants of Mars have a currency/social responsibility system where they get, I'm trying to remember to get the words, the terms correct, where they have quick time or something similar, where they are functioning people who make decisions about their lives and do stuff and interact with society, and they have slow time where they become sort of sequestered in giant machines that keep Mars running. And some of them build walls to keep some terrible thing out, and some of them fix things, and it's very odd, but
So when they're on slow time, they are a part of the machine?
they carry out the duties and responsibilities of whatever role they've been assigned.
Right.
But it also...
But they're not people while they're doing that.
They're not quite. There's a mildly sort of revealing scene where someone goes out into the wastes and visits their father, who is like a giant wall-building robot, and it's like someone visiting a cemetery. Except it's interacting them in a very vague way where it's putting pictures into the wall as it constructs it. So,
Oh, it's sweet.
yeah, it's kind of sad and...
Punch in the feels.
Yeah, exactly. They're still in there. They can come back, provided nothing terrible happens, but they're out of circulation. So it depends if it's like somebody is effectively taking some downtime to meditate upon their existence, or if it is putative.
I was considering for this that the personality is removed in order to create extra space for more cognitive power.
Okay.
That different skills could be kind of swapped in. I'm thinking more like the Shadowrun Crystal sets, but on a bigger scale. So I don't know. That was as far as I got.
Okay. So it's an element to a setting.
Interesting. It reminds me of the zip heads from A Deepness in the Sky from The Revenge, because you had people who basically had their identity stripped away to turn them into living computers.
Yeah, I think that's kind of where I was going with it, but I didn't actually get very far, so... Ta-da!
That's a neat idea.
It's definitely a flavour thing for a setting. So this could be a consequence or something that needs to be... These folks are effectively zombies, but they could either be like a nascent threat or something for the characters just to be wigged out by.
Or just a part of the world.
Yeah.
Yeah. Actually, if you do it as a Shadowrun thing, this just came to me right now, then you could have the characters, they've got a bunch of chips for this thing, for one of these, so they have to go and steal a body. In order to find out what the chips are so they know who to sell them to.
That's hilarious.
That was a brilliant idea.
Hell, I think I played that character. I did make a Shadowrun character for a fairly short-lived game at one point who was...
There was nothing in there but chipsets?
There wasn't a whole lot of person
The 0.1 essence Shadowrun
He wasn't quite 0.1, but it was getting pretty low. But it was essentially the take every sensory and physical improvement that was possible and chuck in they had the skill wires thing, which was basically sort of plugging in a skill but for active skills. And so take that to the maximum level that you could afford, and you essentially had somebody who was very much doing the, we need to be able to speak to Pigarani? Yeah, okay. Click. Or, okay, we need to be able to pilot an aircraft? Hang on. Click. Worked much better in my head than as a character, to be honest, but...
No, I like the idea of the lottery as like, okay, we have a bunch of people encoded these things. We want to find a particular one, or we need to find out what they are. How do we go about the process of safely interrogating them? And it's possible these things have agendas. It's possible that they want to know something, or they're obliged to discover something. You know, one of them's going to be crazy psychotic.
Only one that chip's installed.
Yeah.
Okay, so you think that there might be an underlying programming that has nothing to do with the chips, but does have to do with the...
That would be complicating it still further, but the idea that the party have a bunch of personalities that they are trying to find out where they come from, or what they can do with them, or what profit they can spin out of this, and having them go through the process.
Suitcase full of mega chips. No idea what's on them.
Yeah. The whole plug and pray, you could get very much of the situation. Okay, we get the deserted warehouse on the corner of the desert. We pile explosive around the walls, and
then we strap this thing to a butchery table and see what happens.
But of course, to make that more interesting, you give the personalities on the chips, or the semi-personalities on the chip, enough motivation. They're actually set up to do something, and possibly the set works together in some way so that the party gets to unravel there. That's a good adventure idea, I think. That would be a real...
Sweet! I actually did it! Woo!
You did!
That's what this is all about, being creatively juicy.
Well, taking it in a vaguely dollhouse direction.
Ooh, yeah.
I was just sort of thinking
think
of you've got these human bodies wandering around without a personality in them, which made me wonder where the personality is. Now, in the case of somebody who has essentially been given a death sentence or whatever, presumably the personality has been erased. But if you had the ability to essentially haul the personality out, store it on a chip, put it back in again, if you're sort of swapping people between bodies, then makes me wonder whether there's the sort of thing of somebody being sentenced to effectively 20 years sitting in a file drawer, and then in 20 years' time they get their body back.
Are they aware of that timeline?
Possibly not. It could be pitched as a very humane prison sentence, because what happens is you check out, you check back in, you're 20 years older, your time has been served. Whether or not you've learned a damn thing from the experience is another matter, but...
I think you've actually completely ruled out learning.
Well, yeah.
Yeah, you have.
Rehabilitation or institutionalization completely removed from the equation.
True.
Yeah, because that's the exact opposite of a MacGuffin that I saw, I think it was in Star Trek DS9.
Oh, where somebody does a 9-year sentence in the blink of an eye.
40 seconds, yeah.
Yeah, it was DS9 Chief O'Brien.
Yeah, that was the one. And it was hard time. I think it was torture time.
Yeah, it was 9 years in that horrifying prison thing from the latest Batman film. Spoiler.
I think you're supposed to say that first.
Oh, yeah.
Bastard.
What?
Have you not seen it yet?
No.
There's a
And
prison.
horrifying
Anyway.
prison thing gave something away? Really?
Probably not, but I sort of call you on it.
that seems fair. Yeah, which had me thinking of what happens if somebody really wants their body back. I don't know quite how you do a jailbreak in that circumstance. You obviously need outside help, but
I think you can only have it with outside help if you basically have someone who is willing to be your proxy on the outside and
Or-
have your brain stolen from the file drawer of punishment.
Somebody like a mob accountant or something like that. Someone they need their skills and knowledge and codes.
that would be a fun one, actually. If you're sort of getting a role-playing party involved, if you've got somebody who was a mob accountant, got arrested, got charged, got sentenced to whatever, and the mob really want the information back. Whereas what this guy wants is quite literally his life back.
You could have some very interesting things there where every once in a while the Fed puts that guy in a body and says, okay, if you want, we can put you in somebody else entirely who isn't marked up, and you get to live your life. Of course, you're going to be Claudine as opposed to David, but so long as you can live your life as Claudine, you get to live your life. By the way, we want the codes.
Yeah. And what happens if the person in that very temporary body managed to make a break for it?
Yeah.
It does actually remind me, if we shift around some of the assumptions with it, of the prison system in Altered Carbon.
Haven't read it.
From Richard Morgan. Basically, it's you can get downloaded between bodies and things. And so the prison system is you go to jail, by which we mean we throw you into a filing drawer for an amount of time. Whoever is coming up for parole next gets your body.
Oh.
Because bodies are chattel in the system, in the setting, which means that the ultra-wealthy are immortal, and if they see someone whose body they like, who happens to have a mortgage, they can buy it, they get your body to wear on the off-season, or whenever the hell they want. They might have a wardrobe full of other people's bodies. Those people are in file drawers.
That is just creepy.
Yeah, it's not a
Dang,
nice...
I have a little bit of bile there.
Yeah, that grow up a little in your mouth, yeah.
It's not a nice setting at all, but the idea of if you have someone who has information that's needed, if they want their life back, they need their body back. So...
Oh, sentimental attachment.
Oh yeah.
Besides, otherwise they have to shop for a whole new wardrobe.
I could definitely see possibly the dick GM move of the successful Shadowrun into the personality repository, retrieve the chip, jailbreak, retrieve the guy, plug them together. Hey dude, wasn't I black?
Yeah.
Just
When did I have one of those? Yeah.
It's not that I'm not grateful, I just don't remember having a penis before.
that could be low comedy approach to it as well.
Yeah, we're tending back more towards bulldogs here.
Yeah.
Maybe.
I mean, the mob accountant thing could be interesting in terms of if an agency knows that an organisation is up to something, they need a way in, the organisation is malleable because you don't know what body anyone's wearing at any given time, so that the person who knows if we're dealing with some kind of enigma thing of there is a pattern, it's now autonomous so that nobody can change it, but you have someone who knows it.
So going
Yeah,
undercover
yeah.
is knowing people regardless of what you look like.
Yeah.
Interesting.
Yeah, that's an interesting one.
I think we ran that one into the floor, or at least to a playable level,
Pretty much.
in a variety of directions.
Great
That
success!
makes it your turn.
That would make it me. Okay.
Craig, wow us.
Yeah, that will totally happen. This one came to me in a dream.
And we're done.
Given this man has admitted in the past that he sometimes dreams in exploded diagrams, I am fascinated to hear where this goes.
I dreamed I was a cartoon dog once.
Dude. I also did at one point have a dream in computer graphics, but I had been on a 3-day Civilization marathon at that stage. And at that point, every time I closed my eyes, I saw little tiles moving around.
I get that all the time. Currently, it's a Torchlight thing for me. I can tell if I'm doing well because there's this rush of blood zombies in towards the middle and a fountain of drops.
Wow.
When you're
that's
Happens when I close my eyes.
When you're doing not so good, it's lots of bosses.
Lots of boss monsters. I don't do so well.
It's only once intruded into the waking world, or at least the eyes open world, when I was doing a whole lot of stuff at work that involved cross-hatched imagery, and then I started seeing cross-hatching on everything. Anyway,
Your idea, yes.
yes,
sorry.
I tried to go literal with Star.Star, but didn't end up quite as literal as Kev did. This is one that involves space travel. Yep, you've got space travel. Haven't got faster than light, but you've got quite close to it. But running a ship very close to the speed of light puts strain on the ship. And so it's generally a case of sort of going in a direction very hard, screaming your way across the heavens, and getting to a destination before the ship breaks completely.
So any ship is always a throwaway.
Well, no, I mean, you sort of repair and maintain it, but even our closest star, you're still looking at, 4 years running a machine for 4 years straight,
Yeah,
you'd want to be good.
any complex machine.
Complex machines break. Complex machines need maintenance.
Yeah.
And then we combine this with terraforming. And the idea that out there are lots and lots of planets. We're pretty confident of this at this point, that there are lots and lots of planets out there. But there's probably not that many of them that are livable right now. But you could terraform them. But that's going to take a long time. And so the setting I have in mind, which came to me in a dream many years ago, I grant you, but still it seems to apply, is that when you're sort of looking to set up a route for ships to travel on, you'll set up a station on a world that can be terraformed. You'll put people on there. Most of the time, their job is to sit there in some sort of hibernation and not really do much. But every season or so, they might wake up, spray algae. A bit later, they'll start working on the lichens, gradually building up a livable atmosphere and world. And then they'll go back to sleep.
When you
I
say
just
spraying algae, you mean applying algae as opposed to removing algae.
Spraying algae across the whole planet, yeah.
Right, okay.
Yeah. Applying algae. Basically trying to build up some sort of biology, some sort of food chain to make the world livable. And it sort of occurred to me that I'm very much riffing on the Garage from Xenozoic Tales. Which is one of your post-apocalyptic comic with dinosaurs. And one of the focal characters lives in the Garage, which is just this absolutely enormous maintenance facility.
Yeah, I can't remember if the game or the comic is called Cadillacs and Dinosaurs.
The game is called Cadillacs and Dinosaurs.
It is about Cadillacs and dinosaurs.
And so, I sort of realised, okay, so that's what I'm imagining, that you've got on this world that is probably barely habitable. Mm-hmm. If it's got an atmosphere, it's a poisonous one. Mm-hmm. You've got this huge structure which exists for terraforming and for starship maintenance. And you've got the people who are living in this station, spending most of their time in hibernation, because, frankly, once you've got to the point where you can grow grasses, well, realistically, you're going to spray the grass seed everywhere, and then you're probably just going to leave it for 100 years or so, and let it do its job. Yeah, you'll seed the earthworms. You'll leave them alone for a bit. You'll do the same with the bacteria, as you gradually bootstrap this planet up to being livable.
Actually, you're probably going to spray the green algae and leave it alone for about 100 million years.
I'm assuming we're doing things slightly faster than that, because that would be really boring.
It would be really boring.
Plus,
On the
you can
other
sort of
hand, oxygen atmosphere.
Yeah, you can sort of accelerate things. I haven't really figured out whether the characters are people travelling in starships who are sort of jumping from station to station to get to their destination. And I'm not thinking sort of hyperspace jump as much as, okay, we're going in this direction. We've already sent a message ahead so that they know we're coming, and we just do our flat-out speed burn straight towards them and keep the ships maintained as much as we can and hope like hell that nothing breaks before we get there. That's one option.
So star in this case is the message of, we're this far away.
Yeah, or possibly the star is the nice place that they've come from. The star is the nice place that they're going to. The station is the dot.
Right.
Sure, there's a star there. It's a planet orbiting a star. But there's not much there beyond the dot.
Yet.
It rates a dot.
It rates a dot. I think possibly the more interesting thing would be playing the people on the station. You know, most of your life is going to be ships coming in, because they're going to be from all over the place. Mm. Because you're potentially spending 20 or 30 year chunks in sleep. From a certain extent, the world is passing you by.
I'm kind of getting a tinge of Marooned in Real Time kind of thing. I forget the author.
It would be Werner Vinge.
Werner Vinge, yes. Where basically you're spending 50-year chunks in stasis. You wake up for your next week of life and think, hey, we didn't have monkeys before.
Well, did those mountains used to be there? Yeah. Whereas in this case, I'm thinking things like, you wake up because a ship's come in. Maybe you wake up because an emergency signal's come in from a ship that nobody was expecting.
Okay.
Maybe you wake up and something has gone so badly wrong on the ship that they couldn't even send the "we are here" signal, but they managed to get down to the planet, and they're pounding on the doors, trying to get in before they freeze to death. If you want to go with the really horrendous and melancholy version, which is what the Dream in question came to, maybe you open up the shutters after a scheduled wake-up and find the remains of a town around the outside of the station, because these people got there, and the atmosphere is breathable, but they couldn't get the doors open. They couldn't get in.
Or
I'm not sure what the hell you do with that for a setting, but
maybe they end up colonising your doorstep, set up for a couple of generations and flamed out, and you missed it.
Yes.
Yeah.
So that's what I had.
That's more of a short story than a...
That one's more of a short story. But,
as a game, it sounds quite soap opera-esque, and I'm trying to think of terrible algae puns to go with Days of Our Lives and so forth.
Ooh, nice.
Yeah, so it would be kind of a...
A day in the soup.
It would almost be a ship of the week
Yeah.
kind of setup, because potentially if you've got people sort of screaming between the stars on ships that are travelling at very close to the speed of light, what you've got is the nice planets where people live normal lives. You've got the ships where people get transported, and people on the ships, sort of crewing them, pretty much spend their lives
In a constant state of panic.
keeping these things running, and consequently, they're travelling a lot of the time at relativistic speeds. They're aging very slowly. So are the people on the dots. So consequently, you've potentially got this weird relationship between the people who
spread
travel.
out community.
Yeah, the people who travel and the people who stay put, who are sort of aging roughly in sync, and everybody else who just flickers by.
I'm getting the sort of the Forever War or Clockwork Soldier.
Clockwork Soldier?
Not Clockwork Soldier? It was a short story from a semi-classic era. I cannot remember the author, but it's a android barkeep meets a soldier. I think the soldier was female because it was that sort of era, over the course of several campaigns, which are separated by relativistic jumps. And so the barkeep and the bar is still there, but everything changes in between.
Nice.
And the next scheduled ship touches down, and the crew is entirely cloned from one person, and they're a vaguely Cultural Revolution style khaki uniform wearing crowd, and next time it's a bunch of space hippies. And each time it's kind of the galaxy is moving on.
And you're not.
You're not. It would be, that would be an odd game.
Yeah.
You could probably get a really interesting short-term game out of the, if we don't figure something out, we're going to splash down hard and kill your nascent eco-structure. Help, help, help.
I can think of a couple of different,
And then you've got a kind of a split party thing where you've got some party members on the ship and some party members in the garage, basically doing we've assembled an exact replica of everything that you have in the cockpit, plug this thing into this thing, yada yada yada.
You could use that concept for a number of different things. I mean, one of the things that occurred to me was another science adventure of that you have the setup and something's gone wrong. When you first started talking about it, my impression was that the ships were also involved in the terraforming thing, so that you've got these people who, different ships for different stages of world. They're equipped to deal with a particular stage of world. So it's like people wandering around, they turn up, they do this bit, and then somebody else will come along. And so that's what they do. You can almost have interstellar plumbers. Just turn up, you do a job, you move on to the next bit. And then what happens when you turn up to a planet and something unexpected has happened, and it's ahead of where you're supposed to be.
Or behind. Either way, that could be interesting.
Yeah, and so you have a problem that you're not nominally equipped to deal with, but you're the only ones that are going to be coming through for the next N period.
Stretch of eon.
Yeah, and so what do you do? The whole Forever War time dilation thing, you could go in a neat different direction with it. There was a story that I heard about or read about, but I haven't actually read the story, but you had people who were out building Stargates, who were travelling at these speeds, except that then, once the Stargate's built, people can travel to it instantly, and you've got these people who are out travelling, and they don't recognise the entities coming through the gates anymore.
Yep. I've read that. Yes, I think that may have been a Starship Sofa story.
Okay.
I read something similar that was, I think, Andre Norton, but I can't remember the name of the book. But the gates themselves were on planets.
Okay.
Don't know.
This one, if it's the one I'm thinking of, it's a ship that was launched and was seeding basically instantaneous travel gates. And they'd been travelling for so long and so fast that, whatever was back home wasn't talking to them anymore. And
Because
things that came through the gates, they didn't recognise as being human or even as being something they could understand. Yes, I remember that one. It was a creepy-ass story, which if I can figure out, I will put in the show notes.
That could be really interesting.
Very tangentially connected to your idea, it was a concept that somebody else came up with. It was long before Bulldogs came out, but the idea of the Intergalactic Postal Service.
Okay.
And it was a daft concept, but it went in really interesting directions in terms of having a mode of travel that was faster than light, but started to run into relativistic issues, just less than broadcast. Faster than broadcasting between places.
Yep.
It's just that you did have a situation where it was still taking time. This was a ship of hardened fools who do the job that nobody else wants on the grounds of the scenario unfolded of you jump into a star system with the shipments of things from home, which seems to mainly be data discs for a particular soap opera. And then as you arrive, there's the frantic broadcast of, please, does Emily marry? and then the broadcast thing gets blown up because the soap opera has become the seed of global society and civil war of fanfic in the generations as the postal service arrive, and you have to make that delivery when people are willing to blow up your ship if they think that you are about to support a Zutaran heresy or something.
My recent experiences with fandom only support this model.
The fact that you've managed to so far not look up My Little Pony and Supernatural fanfic crossovers,
So far, yes.
even though they write themselves.
You were practically writing one in the email where you were saying you weren't going to.
That may have been my point.
So Star.Star was a total success.
Apparently, yeah.
A roaring success.
Surprise it because we got 50 odd minutes raw off that.
Sweet. That's good, because right now I need to stop for a pit stop.
And on that note, I guess that's probably the end of the episode. Should we call it at this point? That was an episode of The Big Red Couch. Hope our listener enjoyed it. Goodbye from Craig.
That's goodbye from Ben.
Goodbye from Tanya.
Bye.
Next time on The Big Red Couch.
Interesting. The Spin Doctors.
Ah, I remember this one.
Want to hear more of our shenanigans? Then go to hoarde.net and click on the button that looks like a couch. The Big Red Couch is released under Attribution, Non-Commercial, Share-alike 3.0 Unported from CreativeCommons.org. All music on the show comes from the album Universal Fluff Theory by Krakatoa. Visit them at krakatoa.com or follow the link from our page. See you next time!